on. It's like,
Oh,
not
there it
yet.
goes.
Recording started. I'm like, come on. Hello, Angela.
Hi, Amy. Surprise that we're here.
We're here. Welcome to Third Sunday Poetry, September
Oh, thank you.
2023.
And
yeah, it's not
happy
technically.
birthday.
Thank you. It's not my birthday as we record. We're recording the day before. But as this airs, it will be my 49th birthday. So,
And honey, you are
I'm all
looking
dolled
like
up.
29. There's so much vibrant, gorgeous, glittery, beautiful beauty coming from you.
Oh, thank you. You know, I work at an elementary school and they're like, "How old are you?" And I tell them because I'm not shy about it, and they're like, "What?" Yeah, and like I was telling you, I was subbing for the music class yesterday, which was a dream come true. And they're like, I was like, well, I was trying to explain to them why certain, like the computer, like, the sub left plans entirely connected to the computer. Well, watch this video and have them dance to this. And then these slides, first of all, I got my hands on a computer, but it would not let me log in. It would not. And I was like, good, because I have my guitar down the hall. I'll just bring it. And so I had a lot more fun not using the computer, but I was trying to explain to them. I was like, I couldn't get into it, but even if I could, I'm not really great with computers I'm not used to, because you see, I'm 48. But it's funny you should ask, because on Sunday, I'm going to be 49. And so they're like, and 29 is what they said. You look like you're 29. I'm like, but all these
that's
grades.
hilarious.
I look like somebody who grayed early then in that case, but like the next.
No. the gray is now the style. Like the 29-year-olds are doing that umbra. I'm showing my age. I'm like, is it called umbra? Umbra. It is. It's like real fancy hairstyle. It's all like variable colors and stuff, and so nice.
I had a fifth grade boy tell me that in the recovery room. He's like, so how old are you? And I was like, he's like, yeah, you look like you're like 29, because some people do that to their hair now. And I was like, oh yeah. So like a fifth grade boy gave me the lowdown on the hairstyle.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, ask him if it's pronounced umbra or umbrage or
umbra. Yeah, I'll ask him. He'll know. He'll know. Yeah. If he's not flipping his lid, he's very helpful. So
that's funny. That's so funny.
Oh boy. Well, hey, unless you have anything.
No, I am ready. Right. I have poetry, but I would like to hear you read if you're ready.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read Pete Kelly's poem. And Pete, let me apologize. Life is a little bit of a whirlwind right now. Pete requested that I read Revenant, which is a poem of his that I think I've read before, either here or on Cake and Hyperbole or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's a really good poem. I couldn't find it. I thought it was in your book, Pete. So of course I waited till the last minute and it wasn't in there yet. So I found Strigoi. Hope it's okay if I read that, because I'm scrolling and I'm looking through my Google Docs and I can't find it. And I Googled Pete Kelly Revenant and I couldn't. I think I found a YouTube thing, but I was like, I don't know how to do that. So look, just let me be an outdated 49-year-old for a moment. And I'm going to read I'm going to show his book, What Appears in the Dark by Pete Kelly, our poet friend. I'm going to read Strigoi. As dark consumes light, that old eternal cycle bound are some creatures to realms of nocturnal. On a wind, gliding silent, a wisp of fear and flight, drawn to a sleepy town, safe, secure till the night. The wraith is on a hunt, be you lamb or sheep, awaiting a sun's demise for when you fall asleep. Swathed in moonlit glow, upon a rooftop perched, once was a human soul, now a creature of thirst. He rests upon a chest, softly rising and falling, into a mind seeping, prying open, searching, stealing thoughts to weaken the will, leaving a body primed for the kill. He collects dreams to empty your soul. He dreams your blood to possess you whole. Ooh, Strigoi, vampire poetry from our friend Pete.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can always depend on Pete to deliver the dark gothic goodness.
Creates master of that mood and atmosphere and setting. There I just kind of like to climb into this book sometimes and just like it's so fun to imagine. And in real life, I would be terrified if I was faced with that situation.
Yeah, I like to think that I wouldn't be, but I mean, you probably would. But I like to think that I'd be like, okay, so here's the deal. So you're a vampire. So is the eternal life thing true? Like if I, you bite me, do we exchange blood? Do we have to like kiss on the lips? How does this work? Because I'm really interested, but I want to, I like living, which is why I would die to be eternal. But I want to like guarantee that the eternal part is going to happen because I do like being alive. So I want more life.
Yeah. And I really like the idea of approaching that confrontation with conversation. It's like people who like diffuse their, would-be killers by talking about their kids or talking about their lives or say, tell me about you, and things like that. It's like, you know what? He's probably going to do it anyway in your case with this vampire encounter. But now you've got this rapport. Now he's going to show you the ropes, or she. They're going to show you the ropes and like, tell you all the best benefits and tricks and tips. I like that.
Yeah, just go with the flow. If it's going to happen anyways. Yeah. I always like to think if there was a serial killer and I was strapped down with the duct tape and the plastic wrap, that I would be able to converse and be like, oh, the bone saw. Okay, why do you use a bone saw anyways? I mean, it's kind of, it feels like a lot of extra work because of the splat. I mean, is it just like, is the cleanup part of the attraction, or is it just that you only had a bone saw? Like, I'm just,
Yeah. Or maybe there's something about the bone saw that is exciting to this person.
Yeah. And would you like to write a poem about bone saws together? Yes. And then therefore maybe get it out of your system and leave my bones therefore intact? Because I'm okay with that. Like, I'm curious. But I'm also, I would like that knowledge to be third person. Like,
third hand. Yeah, exactly.
There's some things I don't have to experience firsthand.
No. That's right. That's right. It's a lot of experiences are a good thing to have. However, this one we could probably get there in our imaginations if we ever wanted to, because we're writers.
Like they say that there's nothing beats experience.
Right.
It depends on the experience.
That's right. That's a case-by-case basis. Usually true. But let's be open to situations where it's not preferable. Yeah.
Falling off a cliff, it would be really good, I guess, to have that authentic experience. But that's one that I will be happy to examine from afar.
I feel like I've done that in dreams enough times that I kind of get it.
Yeah, I've fallen off a curb, so I just times that times 100, and it's like the same thing.
Get your little math going in there. And then, the whole like velocity equals blah, blah,
So and where I skinned my knee, it would probably be my whole body.
The whole body is skinned and crushed. Okay. Oh my gosh.
I can imagine that.
Oh, no, I cannot. We watched a documentary called The Bridge one time that was about people, okay, trigger warning, jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. And there was a survivor who, right after he jumped, he was like 19 when he jumped. And he was like, right after I did it, I wished I hadn't. Because, he's like, oh, I've changed my mind. But he survived. But like, I think just about every bone in his body was broken. I mean, can you even imagine? And then the one thing, and I've mentioned this before, but I want to say it again because it's something that I think about a lot. There was the guy in the 1930s who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and ended his life. And they found a note in his room that said, I'm going to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge. If one person smiles at me on the way there, I won't do it. And so I'm always like this, happy little freak going to everybody. And they're probably like, you freak. Yeah. But I'm like, just in case.
You don't know.
You have no idea.
Yeah, that could almost, that explains a lot, actually, because I think I've told you, and I'm not going to delve into the whole story now. Right. But the older guy that I used to know, and he would walk around, and every time you passed him in a car or anything, every single car, he would just be like,
oh, maybe he knew that guy.
Yeah, and at first I would always be like, God, what is wrong with him? Because I'm like, I'm busy. I have things to do that are so important. and then after probably like a year, it's like I realized I look forward to seeing him on the drive. Yeah. And then if I didn't, it'd be like, I wonder where he is. Is he okay?
Yeah.
So now I wonder if, Maybe that's why he knew that story. I'd never heard that, but it does make you be like, I want to smile at everybody.
It does.
Here's
You want to
your
just
smile.
just make it okay, at least for a minute, to know that like you're not all alone. And for just a second, someone gave enough of a crap,
Yeah.
Man. And I'm trying to imagine you being like a sourpuss, and I just can't do it.
It's all, I keep it in here now. I used to let it out, and I was such a bitch.
I let it out in poetry.
So much of my life. Yeah. So I am interior a natural bitch, but at some point in my life, I decided that's not a great way to be. So I will try to suppress that and just keep it on the inside. So you don't ever want to hear my interior dialogue.
Oh yeah, mine is out there. Mine is out there in an electrified corset and stuff like that. And but I too made a conscious decision at one point where I was like starting to imagine, like I worked in a library, this was years ago, and I would see old people come in who kind of delighted me. And then, you see old people who don't always delight you because they're, curmudgeons or whatever. And I remember thinking, right now, I'm probably building habits for what kind of old lady I become. And I do not want to be an old bitch. I just don't want to be like the nightmare vision.
There's no point in it.
There's none. And it's like, I just feel like I was dragging everybody down with me. And I'm like, I'm going to work on that. And yeah, I think it's just you eventually, like your mindset kind of heals you somewhat. And because you're noticing.
Oh, I've been much happier.
Oh, me too.
Since I decided that.
Same here. So. And I've noticed things about the world that I love to see, like freaking trees.
Like, I love trees. I'm reading those books about trees. I can't remember who, but he's got a whole series like The Heartbeat of Trees and The Secret Life of Trees. They're so good.
Oh, I think I've heard of The Secret Life of Trees. And I think I checked it out from my brain, didn't get to it. But
yeah, I've been reading those, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, all we have to do to heal the world is plant more trees.
Yep.
But, and then just old growth trees, not new growth trees,
Oh, right.
But
right. I feel better when I stand by them. I feel like they're breathing good stuff on me. And they freaking made me cry the other day. I felt like such an idiot, but because I'm not a big crier, except like right now there's a lot of life change. And so, but it was not sad crying. It was like, oh my God, I love these trees. And I'm like, oh Jesus, you hippie. Whatever, that's life. I'm happier.
And that's all that matters, honestly. And then that is radiating out to everybody around you and making everybody happier.
And you too. When you're like, we've made this conscious decision, we're going to try and make it better for ourselves and others. That's good.
Yeah, mine was, we moved into a new house, and the lady who had lived in our house before us, the neighbor, the neighbors come over to introduce themselves. I mean, probably not so much anymore, but back in the day, back in like the 90s, neighbors used to come over and introduce themselves.
Yeah.
And then this woman was just raving about the lady who lived in the house before us.
Yeah.
And just like, she was such an angel. I'm going to miss her so much. And she actually teared up. And I was like, it was a moment where I was like, nobody would ever say that about me. I think people are probably like, thank God she's moving. Because I used to have fights and arguments. If you came within my proximity, I was going to hurt your feelings. I was going to pick a fight about something. I mean, that's just who I was. It entertained me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. With other people, not with you, but like
not like with your husband. I was thinking about every time we'd move to a new place, and I'd be like, we did another shouting match that they can hear outside, and I swore we're not going to do it at this new house, or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Whoops. Yeah. Now, for me, it was just other people. I just loved being snarky, and
it's just fun.
And my natural tendency where I'm like, I'm having such a beautiful day. Oh, enjoy it because it's going to end soon because one day we'll all die. But imagine me doing that on purpose to disturb you and crush your world. Ooh, that was me. So when I heard that lady say that, it was like, oh, I actually would like to be that person. How do you be that person that people actually miss you when you go, not be like, whew, glad Angela is gone. I hope I never meet her again. So that has been my life mission. I think I was I was 24, somewhere around there when that happened. So
that's pretty good. I was in my 30s.
Yeah. Well, then I also figured out you could weaponize joy and love. Because when you get the really mean, nasty people, it's like highly entertaining to be like so loving and nice. Yeah. You know, you're driving them crazy. Oh, but then they start softening up, and it's like, so that's where that still comes out in me.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it says in the Bible, it's heaping hot coals on their head. But yeah, I learned from working at the grocery store that if like people were coming at me hot, if I was chill and smiled, they would begin to mirror me. Yeah. So
I think they want even if you don't feel it, even if inside you're like, oh, you're such a jerk, you know, but if you're on the outside, but put all that anger and that, you know, you're such a jerk into your smile and just be like, oh, is there anything else I can get you? Yeah. And don't you look like an asshole right now because I'm so happy.
Because I'm here to help. I'm here to help.
I'm a better person than you are.
I know that must have been hard for you. Yeah, exactly. Woo! Well, should we read some poetry?
Yes, we should. Yeah, because everybody's like, oh, Angela, I didn't know that about her. Oh, I do see that. I do see that inner bitch.
Oh, man. I let fly some what might be insanity adjacent poetry on my podcast this last week. And I was like, should I do this? I really don't mind tearing the veil for my 11 listeners, but what if somebody from the school where I work decides to, well, I don't tell them about my podcast at the school, but my name is in it. So I don't know. We'll see. It's kind of a job where they needed people very badly. So I think I'm safe. I gotta turn my lamp on, I think, for this part.
Well, I don't know. It's confessional, honest poetry. See, you know, this is the thing. The people that are confessing are the people I trust, because you know what they're doing. It's the people that are like, ironically, sitting in the grocery store going, no, can I help you with anything else that I don't trust? So
they're planning a murder. That's right. They're like, oh, I work at the video department at Hy-Vee. This was me. And I have your address right here. Might be around later. So
yeah, you really don't want to piss off the little guy. And janitors, oh my gosh, respect the janitor, because the janitor knows everything.
Oh yeah, I love the janitors at the school where I work. One of them they cut out her job and she's going to a different school because of it's not where I work is not a very big school. And so I'm gonna miss her. I gave her Transfusion Poetica, a copy of that. It's cookies. That's awesome. She was really jazzed. I was like, I don't know if she likes poetry. Here, have some poetry. She was really freaking excited.
Gateway poetry. Yeah. That's if they don't like it, they will after that.
She'll, you know what, the fact that we got along, that's an inroad. So, but the other guy is really, really good dude. So yeah, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
And their office is right across the hall from my room, so it's like we're neighbors. So
so that's treat your service workers and your janitors and all of those invisible people well, because A, they know everything about you and they have your address, and B, why not? You're a happier person, and so are they. And
just good sense, and it will eventually become habit, and you'll be like you'll wake up one day and be like, wait, life is better than it was, before.
It is. Yeah. Why did I always want to be so angry and snarky and bitter and ruin everybody's world?
Right. Poison myself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I unearthed, I've got this job and there's a lot going on. And so finding that poetry rush is a little more challenging. I have to be a lot more deliberate about it. But I did find a document in my Google Docs that I'd started a while back when I was trying to ponder what was the opposite of poetry, because I was writing one of those opposite poems, and the second word in the poem was poet or something, and I was like, whoa, ooh, I could think about this for years.
Big idea.
What is the opposite? So it's not a huge document, but I'm going to read a couple from it. We'll see if I can get the light, because I'm in a room where the lamps don't work, but the windows are open. Okay, so here we go. Opposite of poetry, right? Pharmacy line. 4 stags milling behind the pharmacy glass. One is swiffering the shelves just 6 feet away, but not one glance in my direction. I eat my vegetables and do my walks and oil my skin with healing herbs and avoid the pharmacy line. But in helping an old friend with 10 prescriptions to pick up, here find my plight. By rights, I am pharmacy immune. Why does the pharmacy close at 6 on a Saturday with only 8 of 10 prescriptions completed? I'm informed with less rudeness once I bring out my own snarl. Why? Except Abandon the quest for karmic anything. Abandon the quest for the opposite of poet. No need. The opposite of poet is a 23rd Street pharmacy.
I love that. It's so true. Anyway. It's a poetry death trap. Like you come in there and all the poetry, it's just gone.
It drains out of the room. And I did revise it. It said a 23rd Street pharmacist. And I'm like, not even close. That person could have poetry when they're off the premises. But the pharmacy itself is like,
yeah.
It's a bizarre institution. And I feel keenly the whole like mold of the institution now that I work in a school. And I'm like, you need to sit down and do your worksheets. You're an ISS. And I'm like, you fraud. It's not what you're thinking at all. You know very well. But I don't know. You know what? They're finding things that work, and I'm gonna eat and fix my roof and have money to do that.
Exactly.
All right, Angela. What have you?
I'm gonna read this one.
Okay.
This is still a little raw. Like I did go through which is unusual for me. Mm-hmm. It's been a while since I've actually gotten overtaken by the whole poetry thing where I'm like, oh, the muse is keeping me up at night. I must write this. I've dreamed of this. I have to do this right now. I cannot rest. All things are canceled because I have to do this thing.
I love it.
So also, if I owe you anything right now, I'm getting to it today.
Patience.
I have satisfied the muse with my offerings. And so now I'm like, oh, wait, life. I need to get back to some stuff. So I am coming back and I will do all those things. But as part of that, and so I was just like spewing. So this is a spew. I haven't really edited it very much.
I love a spew.
And it is called I Am Your Mother. And this is partially because I've been reading all the environmental books and the heartbeat of trees and all that. So I am your mother, a vast class of terra and mass, busting my ass under your critical mass. Not critical to you. I get that you don't get it. But what I want you to not forget is this. Your fine world is built upon my back. We are in this together. Our fates intertwined by my roots. My veins, your rainforest cremains. My breath, your canvas for hues of smog. Once you loved me. Together we reveled in stardust, the interplanetary future of us. But here is what you need to remember. Your mother is not a renewable resource. Enjoy your pound of flesh stripped from my dry bones, because once I'm gone, so are you. Feast now, famine later is not a sustainable plan for your business as usual. Listen to your mother. Thank you.
Applause for the deep down hippie. Yes.
Well, thank you. Yes, I am. I do have an
internet thing. Yeah. No, because people are like... But no, I think that awareness is really finding a little more footing now because it's getting weird out there, and yeah.
I have to confess, it was way back in the 90s when I hitchhiked up to Montreal. Mm-hmm. And I was in Montreal and it was an Earth Day. And my boyfriend at the time was very ecological. Well, I guess on Earth Day, he was pretty eco,
Sure. On Earth Day.
I'd never even heard of Earth Day coming from America. Right. What the heck is this? And I don't know why I always get a little Southern accent when I speak
when you become American.
What's going on with this Earth Day? What the hell are you talking about? That goes with my grandmother. One of them. But yeah, so I was all like, oh my gosh, the world is in trouble. It's back in the 90s. And so I went straight on oh, we have to do something. And he's like, yeah, it's a big deal, Earth Day. We celebrate it every year. Every year we all become ego-conscious for one day.
Yeah.
But then it was impossible. I remember trying to be okay, I'm only going to use reusable things. I'm not going to use plastics. Everything is plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to recycle. Oh, recycling actually goes to the landfill. It's just a feel good thing to make us feel better about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying recycled paper. Oh, but actually all the bleach to make it recycled. And so I think at some point I just kind of okay, I can't do this, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just going to be part of the problem.
It's disheartening.
But now, there's so many things. You can be I want to only use glass for my dishes.
Yeah.
Or this, or that. There's so many choices. I've got the little silicone reusable things instead of plastic.
Yes.
so much easier now.
They have made improvements.
Dye your hair any color you want, which is the other 80s thing, which is actually counterproductive to what we just talked about. But
yeah,
and you can use toxic chemicals in your hair and make it all colors.
Yeah, I did that during college.
yeah. I remember how hard it was to get those dyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was in Columbia you could find it, or you had to drive way into Kansas City. And to make it really take, and I had like this really long hair, and to make it take, you had to strip it with bleach. And I was like, my mother will die. She will not be mad at me. She will be brokenhearted. And so I would just put it on over my hair instead of bleaching it. And it actually would turn it kind of black with like a blue cast. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, it wasn't the dramatic blue that it would have been. And I'm fine with that because I think your hair, it's hard to heal from that.
Yeah, it does. I did enough color that I started seeing like bald. Like, you know, where your part is getting whiter and whiter. And now you can actually call your part a receding hairline. And that's when it's time to stop, children.
Like, oh, I'm 22. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going for a cosmetology degree at the time. And so it was like, dye my hair. Anybody dye my hair. I was dyeing my hair 2 or 3 times a day sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Like switching colors. And I was like in heaven. Yeah, like, oh no, just do whatever you want.
It would be fun.
Until I started seeing the bald patches.
Right.
Like,
my scalp would never have stood for it. It's really fussy. And so I would have been in flames. So yeah. Because I've dyed my hair before with other stuff and like chemical stuff. Like when I was younger, and it's always just like, oh, try a little bit, make sure. I'm like, no, I'm dyeing my hair, and then like my scalp is on fire. Oh, it's terrible. Oh man, it's not for me. That's okay.
Yeah. I'm waiting for my natural grays to grow, and you can see them there. I'm very impressed by them. I like, come on.
Yes, I love mine.
Let's do the whole thing. I want that whole umbra, whatever thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll take mine down. I want to see
my hair to look like Amy's hair.
My hair that's just like Lily Munster. Where is it? Oh, it's hiding underneath. I have to do this. There you go. There it is. Yep.
Yeah. That's what I'm aiming for right there. Come on, that's right. See that? Go, do that thing.
So mindless. You just get up and comb it. Boom, you're done. So I'm for that. Whatever makes it easy. All right. Okay. I will bring out another poem, I believe. This is one actually, and I don't know how it landed in what's the opposite of poetry, but it's in Glitter and Ghosts. I had to find it because I'm like, I know I put this somewhere, but I'm going to read it anyway because it was in there. Okie dokie. Ghost of a native poet, pour your songs and whisper as I amble towards sleep. Night shore long and lonely, darkness deep. Here I lie, soul cracked, slip inside, invited, spew a storm of words into my mind, entwined, benighted. Denied my word cascade, without my fire beguiled. I'm bound in whalebone, penned, no longer wild. Release your blazing colors, fill my head, or see my eyes go flat, a doll's and dead. Ooh, that's kind of pertinent to joining the system, but I'm cool with it. So I know there will be times, there are chapters. Life is not a straight line, like we say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, and this too is an experience that is going into your work.
It's a valuable experience. It is something that there are days when I'm like, oh, but there are really rewarding times. And it's like, man, it's like you say, being in the community and being someone who's helping kids that are just going through stuff that I was, privileged not to have to deal with. But man, they just got to shoulder that, and you can like be the person they want to come to when they're freaking out. It's really, it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to get up and do. Yeah, for me, like for, but also so.
Well, and I got to say, I am so happy to know you're there, even though sometimes I know you're like, oh, I am also happy because they need you. They need all of what you are and all of that, the love and the life and all of that. They need that. And I'm really happy to know that it's there.
Thank you for your
encouragement. There's got to be something good.
Yeah.
It's Missouri.
Yes, my home sweet home that my friend and I say, oh, we love independence, but with our eyes wide open. You just have to, because
Yeah.
like it was
Oh
when I
yeah.
was growing up here, it was different. It didn't have so many of the struggles that it has now. I don't think. I mean, there's always
Mhm.
stuff like Twin Peaks, right? There's always stuff under the surface that I don't know
Mm.
about. But I just know that when I went to school there, and it was probably just because they weren't mainstreaming, the kids with the
Mm.
struggles and stuff like that is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know, but yeah, it's and I wanted to tell you because like I thank you for that encouragement, but I also thank you for earlier in the week when I was like, I don't know if it came through when we were texting, but I was like really feeling the sort of I would be able to quickly talk myself out of dread when I was like getting ready to go to work and see what the day was going to bring. But something you said, I was telling you what I was like, okay, and so this weekend doing this and that, and I have to, and then this is going to be hard, and this is causing me a little weird. And you're like, those sound like the glitter dipped problems of a poet. And I was like, oh yeah, that part of my life. I'm a poet. It's like, it doesn't make me above it, but it makes me one who can step away, like, and look at it from a little bit of a distance sometimes and be like, yeah, that is going to make a poem. I just like that, just like really, you like helping me find that mindset again that day, like 2 days ago or something. I was like, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, that's what I am. And so I'm doing this job or this task or this promise I made or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, that's
awesome.
Now.
It's got a shiny light on it. Yeah. So
oh, good. Good, because when you were saying that, I was like, oh, that's so much fuel for poetry. Like,
it is. I need
the angst. Burn out the angst.
Angst about interesting, cool, bizarre, unusual things, like all of it. There's a big tapestry going on right now. And so, yeah, that was awesome. I'm so glad that we remain in touch and that we're able to
too.
That was great. Oh,
yeah, I did too. Because you, like I said, I was pretty much like when we started doing these poetry things, I was kind of like, well, I mean, we talked about this a little bit before this. I had achieved some success with like black cranes and tortured willows and stuff. But then that became like a weight around my neck, because then it's like, oh, you don't want to lose that. You don't want to, now it's a responsibility, and you have to do all these interviews. You have to do this thing. You have to do that thing. And it just kind of like crushed me for a good part of, and it's actually coming to Brazil and I went through the COVID thing like that. And that was like, oh my gosh, I really, when we came here, I think my life was saved, because I could barely walk through the airport. I looked like hell. I felt like hell. You know what I mean? And when I think of when we first got here, to walk around the corner to the store was like so hard. I felt like such a I'm American. Oh, these rocks hurt my feet. I can't walk on them. Where's the nice flat sidewalk? And now I'm like feeling really good. We live on a pinnacle of a mountain, so to come to our house from the store is like a 45. Like, I'm literally walking like this. So I go slow. I mean, now I can walk fine, and I feel really healthy. But even Ryan, who works out and stuff, he comes up that like 45. The people who have lived on this mountain, it's actually a volcanic plug, but they've lived here forever and do this all the time. Still come up. We all come up the same way. It's that steep. If you tripped and fell, you would just roll down the mountain. Like going down the mountain, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, get my footing straight because I don't want to tumble.
Down. That's hard.
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't even know why I got started on that. So anyways, the crushing thing, and then now I'm starting to feel like, oh yeah, creativity again, and I don't, who cares if whatever, like it doesn't matter. It's too much responsibility. I'm just gonna go write stuff.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
So and you inspired that a lot, because it was Amy is so fun, and she just gets to have fun with poetry. I wish I could have fun with poetry, but I have to be responsible and write these things. And then it's like, oh, no, I don't. I do what I want.
That's right. You're a grown-ass woman, as I say.
Yeah. As long as there's no hate involved. That's like the key of, as long as it's loving and fun and like, could be somewhat scoldy, but in general, lovely.
That's right. You can use it to try and better things. I generally started it years ago, like, okay, not counting high school, when I was
Yeah.
constantly writing boy crazy poetry, and we had this teacher who had us keep a day book, and I was like, oh, I think about it now, and I'm like, oh, poor Mr. Anderson reading all my boy crazy poetry. Oh well, he loved it, I'm sure, because I was writing poetry. I don't know, but and it wasn't great. I know it was rhyming in the style of the Romantics. I was so into that. But anyway, I was still in high school. But after that, when I started doing it again, when my kid was 4 or 5, I was healing myself. I was doing it a lot to heal myself. But then a lot of joy would begin to come through, as like I was making that conscious shift to trying to be a more pleasant person to be around. But yeah, it's such a wonderful vehicle for so many life things. Like if you're healing yourself, or if you're just admiring things out there, and in the daily, for me, it's always like, the smoke coming out of the coffee, woo, little ghosts, whatever, just like admiring every day. Right, exactly. I love it. So anyway, that's our poetry plug and how we're for it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have another one?
Take the dark
things. Go ahead.
I do. And you can take those dark things, you put them on the paper, and now you're free.
You are.
And you can share.
It really does work that way. Right. You can share it, but people then know they're not alone when they're having dark times. Because I've really benefited from that, reading other people's poetry. I was like, oh, I am not the only one who had that thought or whatever. And it's like, and then
I'm not the only one angry or in love with this tree or whatever. I'm not the only weirdo.
That's right. You just get this human connection that is part of that thing that keeps us living longer, is like you were talking about, people that have community, even if they smoke and drink their whiskey like I have been lately, they've got this community, they end up being okay anyway because of the joy that they find.
Yeah, the joy is the reason to keep going.
Exactly.
Oh, I was going to say that Japanese word for it, that's ikagi or whatever. It's like a super trending thing right now. Anyways, I'll stop trying to say it before I hurt myself.
I would find it.
Instead, I will read a poem. It's ikigagi or something like that. Yeah, and it means the reason that you get up in the morning. But so somebody told me about it, and they were being very like, oh, and there's this Japanese concept. You've probably heard of it because you're like a quarter Asian, like, oh yeah, I know all the Asian stuff because I got this fourth.
That's right.
So they were telling me about it, and I was like, oh, like the French concept, which is raison d'être.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, not well. I mean, I guess so, but like
they just couldn't give you that one, right? Sounds like it. Come on. Well, raison d'être, I guess, is like, this is the reason this is like my mission in life.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's supposed to be, the thing that gets you out of bed in the morning. Like the
Cocoa
thing
Puffs was in the old days. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It could be something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Well, for me, getting that cigarette, that was
for
a long time
about that,
that first cigarette. Yeah. A holy moment.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the first time I've been a morning smoker. Okay, go ahead.
I will read a poem, since that's what we're here for.
That's it.
And speaking of, like, the more of the, this is one of those.
Okay.
And it's called Seeking Shisa, which I have said Shisa are the little Okinawan guardians, and I always have two behind me as I try to reach and I destroy everything that's behind me. So yeah, so Shisa are the little Okinawan guardians, and the mouth of the female is closed to keep the bad things out, like demons and bad luck, and keep the good luck sealed in. And the male always has his mouth open because he's scaring away the bad things and inhaling all the good things.
Oh, good.
So those are Shisa, and they're like little lion dogs specific to Okinawa. And so they look like the shishi, I think, is the Japanese or the Chinese lion dogs, but they are actually different. But I could go into the whole thing of Shisa, but that's what Shisa are in this poem.
Cool. They're so cool.
Yeah, and it's called Seeking Shisa.
Okay.
I went to the shelter seeking Shisa Instead, I found children in fur skin trapped in cages and concrete tombs, crying on death row, still believing their family would return, discarded, disregarded, destined to be ashes. I went to the forest seeking Shisa. Instead, I found shorn stumps protruding like bone from the earth, sap bleeding from the remains of chainsaw massacres, roots desiccating in the open air like exposed veins, their screams silenced in the crunch of leaves underfoot. I went to the city seeking Shisa. Instead, I found shaman in the streets, cut off from magic by pills and promised ills, their incantations expiring along with their time, and rusty lungs filled with disdain and ridicule. The only magic left to them is to be overlooked, invisible, and unseen. I went to the wasteland seeking Shisa. Instead, I found poison, toxicity, leftover desire, and technicolor plastic dreams, and piles of discarded wonder purchased on sale. Batteries committing assault on the soil, bleeding acid to saturate down to the aquifers, bittering waters. I went to the churches seeking Shisa. Instead, I found judgment, rules, and anger as deeds were done cheap in the name of an almighty deity of the day. Hell on earth raising the bar of being so high children die trying to attain it. Cursing Pharisees that scowl back and curse from reflections. I went to the schools seeking Shisa. Instead, I found medicated automatons told to think outside the box but stay within the lines, like a terracotta army protecting the dead, fed with division, numbered and categorized, told to reach for the sky from their knees. I went to my mirror seeking Shisa and found them there, laughing in my eyes, male and female, creating a binary of balance. She keeps her lips sealed, her power in silence, while he protests all that is wrong. That's it. And hopefully the message of that is be the change.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Not that I have Shisa inside of me and I am like the Shisa answer.
I love it. That was beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And that's the part of that whole this week of going, I think I'm turning into an environmentalist again.
What the world needs at the moment. I think that's a great thing. Oh, wow.
As our world is frying like bacon on a pan.
Tis. Yes. This is true. Oh my gosh. And the one about the schools, it's just like, I know. I totally see that. And I have no idea what to do about it. Just, I guess, nice.
What can it's just the small things is what we can do about it. I mean, when I was younger, I used to think huge change. You need to tie yourself to a tree, and that there's a place for that. Not saying there's not a place for it.
Large and startling pictures.
Yeah, I can't do that right now, but I can write poetry.
Yes.
We can smile. We can listen to people. Do what you can.
Yeah, exactly. Life affirming.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, how about you? Do you have?
Let me see. Poetry? I'm just gonna peek at them because I'm not sure. Oh. All right, that one's short. I don't know if it shows up anywhere, but I'll do it. Yeah. It says, I think it was supposed to be a song. It's not. To save the planet. Maybe it will be someday. Oh, and it says to save the planet. All right. To save the planet, we killed the lights and the ghosts came out in droves. Evenings went to firelight and the werewolves rule the night and steal our clothes. I think I was going for the rhyme there.
I love that.
But, it was a thought of like, the electricity and what it's doing. And let's just go back to when we all live by candlelight or whatever. And then the ghosts will come back. Because Stephen King had a thing he said in I think it was in his book on writing. I don't remember. But he was talking about how somebody, and maybe it was Edison, said that like what killed the ghost was the electric light or something like that.
Oh, wow.
They were always a part of culture. And then when we got too smart to believe in such nonsense was when we had electric lights. And so I think that's what inspired that tiny little like 5 lines. But
that's a good 5 lines though. I like that whole concept of like the world turning out the lights and then suddenly
the ghosts come back. That's right. I love it. It was like when COVID happened and people were like, I think my house is haunted. They just weren't there that much before.
Yeah. I didn't realize my house squeaked so much.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why
I'm actually jotting down a note.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Any more from you? Because I think I'm going to stop there with mine and chill.
I actually have, I'm going to say a birthday poem. because you are directly the inspiration for this poem. But you've already read it, so it's not like woo woo. But it's that one that I wrote last week from well, not last week. God, time flies. Our poetry roll-up thing. And we did the poetry roll-ups, and then so when I wrote Rewritten, I was directly thinking of you and everything that you're kind of currently going through. And so this is your voice. This is my impression of Amy's voice.
Neat. Because I want to hear it now through that lens, or what I hear it.
Yeah. So and I felt weird to be like online going, oh, and this is for you, Amy, because you inspired this. But I figured I'd just tell you personally.
Cool. I love it.
For now. But Rewritten is from you. Like that is how I imagine what is happening from your eyes. But it was
I gotta hear it again.
We did that whole poetry seed thing, and we had the shatter heart silently, right? Rainbow fiercely. And then I reworked it into this.
Okay.
Rewritten from the viewpoint of Amy Zollers. Shatter my heart silently. Write me a fierce rainbow using dark tears for ink. Sing loud for me an ocean of unexpected music-making moon glow on midnight waves. Write me an eager forest where your gentle breath dances to stir my pages back to life. Swim my heart joyfully. Make your way upstream through a pulsing river of weeping past. And that is what I picture. That is my blessing on your life.
I loved that when you posted it on Instagram, but now it's like pertinent. Yeah, that is like my life of the last 15, 20 years. That is amazing. Whoa, the dice did that, and then you came along and grooved it up, and Angela, that is beautiful. Thank you for that.
Happy birthday, my beautiful friend, who is a gift. You are the gift, so thank you for that.
Thank you, my heart. Well, thank you so much. That was really cool, because I was like, oh, that came out so awesome when I heard you read it on the Instagram, and I thought I didn't really think about it. I was just like, oh, the words and how she's reading it.
Yeah.
And when you said that is just crazy how the roll of the dice and the verbs and the adverbs and all these things, and it's like, shoot, that is and then with the type of the forest in there, oh my gosh.
Love it. Getting your pages stirred back to life and all that stuff. And music.
You gotta, if you don't mind, you gotta send me a copy of the words. I would love that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that blessing. That's gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you for being a blessing. Now everybody watching is like, so much sugar in this.
Gag, save the planet. Why don't you guys get a room? Yeah. It's
love.
Do whatever the hell I want.
Exactly. We can freaking love you if you don't have anything to say about it. We're just doing it right now. Love.
Exactly.
Wow, that was so cringy, but hey, it happened.
Hey, it's hilarious. When I was in college, I worked at the college radio station, and when I was new, I was listening a lot to see what the people were that I was working with, and there were these two guys on Saturday mornings, and it was called Wake Up with Dave and Brent, won't you? And they were so funny, and it was the early 90s, and they were so early 90s in their cuteness and their floppy hair and their slacker voices and stuff. And so they would do the Saturday morning show, and I would tape it sometimes because I'm like, I want to listen to it later. I got to go do this. And it was not Dave's birthday. It was Brent's birthday. And so he plays these 3 Ramones songs in a row. Dave's like, 3 songs by the Ramones in a row. And he's like, it's my birthday. I can do whatever the hell I want. And so I was like, that's the rule in my life now. If it's anybody's birthday, it's like, hey, birthday, you can do whatever the hell you want. And so that's what we're doing today with our love and our hippie dippery and our tiara, my 3 tiaras at once to layer, and my big ass earrings made out of vintage earrings and that stuff. So my poetry freak shirt, there it is. Not wearing a brassiere. Now you know. Too much information. Freedom.
Yeah.
Didn't shave my legs.
Okay, TMI.
See, everyone's afraid of that. I'm working to change that, man, about the world. Yeah. There's a Frank Zappa song that helps called Wowie Zowie, where he's like, I don't even care if you shave your legs. Okay.
Well, my
Anyway.
secret mission is to live life without a bra and yet somehow not be scary about it. So I have just discovered these tank top things. It's basically, but it goes all the way to the waist. And I'm testing those out at this moment to be like,
cool.
I'm going to get rid of all my clothes. And I'm just going to have those because in the winter you wear a jacket, summer you don't. I have one less garment in my house to worry about. And this is a real thing, guys.
Yeah, you don't have to wash them by hand. My son was saying, I don't know where he gets all his knowledge, but he finds it. And he's like, yeah, Mom, because he was telling how somebody was doing something for breast cancer because it's like the highest rate of cancer in America or something like that. I'm like, it's because of bras. He's like, yeah, it might be. I'm like, lymph flow and blood flow and all this circulation. And, hey, I'm sorry if that's a bummer, if somebody's freewheeling, but you know what? It's a matter of health. I don't want to go through that illness, and so I do wear them. I like your idea with the tank tops, and we'll have to get, if you have a special kind going on there, let me know.
I'll share you the link so you can see what it is and see what, So far, day 2, still a winner. Usually it's hour 2, and I'm like, oh, yeah, nope.
Not working.
This is not working.
Right. And I work I did art and poetry for 2 years, pretty much I had a part-time job through much of that, but or 3 years or whatever. And it's like I just wore them so seldom, and now I'm in a full-time job and it's at a school. And so you got to be like, the children must not know I have boobs or whatever, and so, I don't know. They must not know the truth about boobs. I don't know. I don't know what we're sealed.
Well, how objectionable is it really? And forgive me, I might go on a tiny rant.
Same.
But I think of it as like an older woman starts to sag.
Yeah.
Boobs sag because gravity happens and age and everything sags really. But specifically the boobs, we feel we have to strap them back and pretend like they're not sagging. And it's just natural. And it's so comfortable to not have all the gear sweating and underwiring and strap and hooking
wires
and digging in.
Wires.
And side boob happening and chaffing. And why do they hook in the freaking back? What woman has like spider arms that go in the back? Like we're not double jointed. I mean, that's a fantasy. That is a fantasy. So I have a big gripe about bras specifically. And as a larger busted woman, it's a daily gripe.
It is. And I'm conscious of it. I drive home from my job and I'm like, I just hurt.
Yeah, like Flashdance when she takes her bra off and she pulls it through her shirt. Like that's the big famous scene.
Which we all know how to do.
Oh yeah. And it's sexy when she does it because it's younger, but we all do that. So,
we all know how to take it off without actually taking our shirts off, so a skill learned early on.
Yeah, because apparently also we can't be bare chested in public, even though guys have the same nipples. Theirs are hairy, gross. Like at least ours are not hairy.
I know. Where do we go wrong? Puritanical mumbo jumbo. So many fears. Yeah.
And they wouldn't be such a symbol of sexuality and stuff if they were just there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if your grandmas were hanging out as well as the young hot chick down the street, it takes the power away from them and just make them a body part that
it makes it familiar,
comfortable and free.
Right. This is what yours will look like when you're an elderly woman or an older woman.
Yeah.
And you're like,
so enjoy them too. Enjoy them.
You're not freaked out about that, because you kind of know. And it is like the whole, all right, we're going to get real social here, but it's like, the whole thing about how we live in a country that just is selling stuff, and that's such a raison d'etre, it's like they use sex for it. And so your boobs got to be this way and your legs got to be that way. And that is like some of the real sticking points of my life occasionally. Like I get to the point where I'm chill with it. And then, whatever. It's such a needless to me. It's such a, if you think about it, it's such a veering off of like common sense and how we were made and like what on earth. If you think about like when before all the industrialization, why do we oh yeah, the world is so much better now. We've got all these great drugs with all these great side effects, such as, like diarrhea and suicidal tendencies and whatever. And it's like, and then we got
take drugs for those.
We got these great like wire bras that are cutting off our, lymph flows and making us ill and making us die. But we're all like, no, this is so much better. So much better. I mean,
and we live in a society where we actually have to have filters to make us look fake. Because that's a relief, because then we don't have to spend the 5 hours to make ourselves look like that. We can just have a filter to look like who we're not. Yeah. This is my last little social gripe, and then I'll be, I promise everybody I will stop. But there's a reason why I don't really, like I tend to not be on social media. Like I've never looked at social media. I am engaged with it because you kind of have to. So like I will share, and then I have certain people that I follow their things and like and try to support them, but I don't generally ever go on my wall and just look. I also don't read like magazines like Vogue and stuff. I, don't really watch commercials. And that's because back in the day when I was in college, we had this wonderful, I don't even know what class it was, probably sociology. But he did this experiment with us, and he had us fill out like a quiz of who we thought we were, like scale from 1 to 10. How good do you look? Or not how good do you look, but how happy are you with how you look? How happy are you with your friends? How happy, that was the key, is how happy were you? And so we rated, and I doubt anybody in the room was like 10 because I'm Gandhi and blah, It's a mixed bag. Yeah, exactly. And so then he made us watch like 20 minutes of basically advertisements. And they were like makeup advertisements and advertisements for everything. And then we filled out the quiz again. And every single person had dropped in how happy they were by a significant margin.
Wow.
And so I always keep that in my head when I feel bad about myself, like, oh, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm too stumpy, and a lot of that's true, but it doesn't have to affect my happiness. It's just a fact. I am very fluffy right now because of 2020. Whatever. Doesn't mean I can't be happy,
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that? That's just like, oh, I should work out for health. I don't have to be miserable and upset.
Like lifestyle, doing what you can and not worrying if you look like in Vogue.
It's not a happy or not happy situation. So I always think of that, like, when we were in Brazil on the trip and we came back, I could feel like I came to Brazil this is why we live here now, like one of the reasons. The first time after, because we were only here for 2 weeks, and by the second week, all of a sudden I looked in the mirror, and it was the first time I could remember walking by a mirror and seeing my reflection and not being like, ugh.
Right.
I walked by, saw my reflection, I was like, I'm like happy or something like that. And then that was so like, oh, I was happy? When's the last time that ever happened? I don't remember. It's been such dark times, And so I was like, oh, I'm going to keep that. I want to keep a hold of that happiness and that satisfaction with who I am. And then we got on the plane. And on the plane, coming back to the US, I don't know why, maybe watching the advertisements, thumbing through the whatever, I could hear that inner dialogue start up again about like, well, when I get back, I really need to start working out more because blah, blah, blah. And I need to start, got to cut that sugar out finally, like 10-year dialogue in my head.
Yes.
So, yeah. And it's so that we will keep buying things.
It is. That's all it is. Somebody, you're like paying for somebody's mansion and yacht is what you're doing. And
with their joy, they're literally bleeding our joy and happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not that I don't buy things, but there are things I don't buy. Like I remember when I was worried about spending money, we moved to Texas, and I was worried because I was spending money on like a hand mixer and like some stuff for the house. And I was behind somebody in line that had like all this like face cream and like foundation and stuff. And I was watching it ring up, and that's Target. At Target, there was a jar of face cream that was $40. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to go right home and tell my husband, well, all the stuff I never spend money on. Because when I make soap for my face, I just use like the Dr. Bronner's, like the hemp soap and then like a little almond oil and a little witch hazel, and then some of the like lavender oil and tea tree oil. And it doesn't cost that much to make it, and
it's so nice.
And it works, it works. And so there's a lot I don't spend my money on because I don't want to pay
and
for
somehow people are saying you look like you're 29.
Yeah, part of that is my joy of life, my joie de vivre. But exactly. the almond oil I read was Jackie Kennedy's secret. So
I use almond oil.
Yeah,
I use
great.
almond oil a lot. Yeah,
with essential oils
and stuff.
I used to have like terrible skin problems, and I was always afraid to use any kind of oil or moisturizer or anything. And so I just tried that once, like 10 years ago or something, and I was like, oh man, Jackie Kennedy was right. So it doesn't do anything to me. So hurrah! And those are our beauty tips from Amy and Angela.
For you today. Yes.
That's right. It's been a grab bag. Just a beautiful grab.
I know. So if you survived the bra conversation, well done you. And thank you for listening.
There's someone I'm gonna have to tell not to watch because there will be parts of that were controversial. So that's all right. You don't have to love everything Amy does. Happy birthday to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Angela, again for joining.
You.
It was so much fun. That beautiful poem.
Thank you. Thank you for being
rewritten,
inspiration. Right? Yeah, rewritten.
What a great title. I mean, that is like basically what's going on in my life right now. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep. And it's beautiful. Every gory, glittery, chaotic moment.
It is. It's true. And that's like when you're a poet or an artist or things like that, I think you start to, maybe not every minute, but you really do have moments of grasping that. And that's a huge blessing. So I did that.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Happy trails. And
thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. And I will go ahead and shut us down. Everyone, enjoy your week a little sadder but wiser about our theories on foundation garments. Yes. Goodbye.